Hi everybody, it's Amy, GablesStitcher, here with a stitching update video. It is mid-January 2022. I am not sure of the date, and I'm not sure when this video is going to go up. Probably not today, but it will be mid-January, so let's just keep it there. If you're getting a little bit of deja vu, it's because I just filmed a 2021 wrap-up video in the same location with the same clothing. Just finished. So I decided to split up my videos. I wanted to kind of wrap 2021 in a box and just put it there and let's let it go. And I wanted to get back on track making regular update videos. So that's what this video is. I'm going to link the 2021 wrap up video below. A lot of the a lot of the projects I stitched on towards the end of 2021 are in that video because I did finish them. What I am going to show you are the projects that I have stitched since my last update video, which I did not finish, and what I have started in January of 2022, and a couple of planned starts I have that I am looking forward to stitching with some friends. So shouldn't be too long of a video, and let's get started. I am going to insert some pictures of these projects where they were last year, like my whip parade beginning of January. So you'll see the project progress over the year. I did say in my last video that this year I did not stitch on a lot of projects. When I picked up a project, a lot of the times I finished it, and the other ones I did get a lot of progress on too. So where I can, I will put in some before pictures. First project I'm going to show you was almost a finish in 2021. Didn't quite make it. This is Mirabilia Halloween Fairy. This is a kit. This is an old kit. My kit came with crescent colors, which I believe are now Classic Colorworks. I don't remember. I understand, like weeks I know because they're packaged differently. The other two I always get confused. But this is an old kit. This kit is still available. You cannot buy the pattern. You have to buy the kit. But I am going to warn you, the colors now are going to be different than what you see on mine because the older crescent colors are different than the newer substitutes. I will put a picture in of where I was January 1st of last year. And this is where I am now. She is being stitched, not in the kit fabric. I stitched her on a 32 count opalescent purple even weave. And you really can't see opalescence on video, but they're there. And she is stunning. This is one of my legacy whips. I consider a legacy whip anything that's older than 10 years. So she was started, I think, 2013, 2014. And I am putting a little bit of blending filament in her wings. I am stitching one strand of floss, one strand of blending filament. And there she is. Almost a finish. I have half that wing and a little bit of beading left, and she will be done. So, was kind of hoping to finish her last year. Didn't happen. It's okay. She will get done. Next project, Wicked Christmas. This is an Italian designer, Sarah Gurami. Put it at the bottom so you can see it. I know she has an Etsy shop, and also LNSs do carry her, local needle workshops do carry her charts, as well as some of the online shops. So this is, I love this. This is so whimsical, right? It's a Christmas and Halloween scene kind of mashed up. And it's huge. It's 278 by 263. I love big whips. I am stitching this with the called for DMC. And I'm stitching it on 20 count Vintage Country Mocha Ada. And there we go. I think I have a picture of where I was in January 1st too, last year. So there was a lot of fill-in in this chart, especially when you get to the bottom, like those buildings. So my plan with this is to leave some areas of fill-in for when I am on Zoom calls, stitching groups, and if I hopefully get to go to some retreats this year. But this has been a fun stitch. It's so whimsical. I am really enjoying stitching on 20 count Ada. I can stitch with one strand of floss and get fantastic coverage. And it's easy for me to see the holes. So the Vintage Country Mocha has a nice feel to it. Some of the other ones are a little bit stiffer, but 20 count Ada has become a new favorite fabric of mine. So if you haven't tried it, give it a try. The next project I am going to show you is Nantucket Christmas Houses by Hemlock and Rye Stitchery, which is the design name for my friend Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. And I'll put a picture of the project in here. I don't think I had like super notable progress, but here I am now. So I know this year I mostly filled in the blue house. I think the gray house was pretty much done. And I started on the border. This is on Vintage Country Mocha. Can you tell that's one of my like favorite neutrals? And she has the option of doing them together with a border. That's what I decided to do. So there'll be one more house on the other side of the gray house. This is another one of those projects that my plan was to kind of stitch the skeletons of the house and then fill it in when I'm at stitch groups or on Zoom. So I will start house number 3, skeleton, you know, windows, doors, foundation, and then paint it while I am stitching with friends and don't need to concentrate as much. All right, so that wraps up the stitching I did in 2021 between that and that last video. Now we're moving into 2 projects I have stitched this year and 1 new start. If you have watched me for any length of time, you know that I am not a huge full coverage stitcher. However, that being said, I do have a few full coverage projects because I love them, but I never gravitate. I love the look of them. And I do enjoy stitching on them when I'm working on them, but I never just pick one up to stitch on it. So in my floss tube watchings last year, a lot of the full coverage stitchers were a part of a Facebook group called Full Coverage Fanatics. And there was a challenge last year called 21,000 in 2021. So the goal was to get 21,000 stitches in one project over the course of the year. And you'll have a lot of progress at the end of the year. And that worked down to, I think it was like 65 stitches a day. So I watched people do it and it seemed really reasonable. 65 stitches is not a ton. And people got great progress last year. So I decided to kind of try it this year. So I pulled out my Heaven and Earth Designs, which is called A Place of Her Own. And I will put a picture of the cover art in here, as well as where I was on January 1st of 2021. I do believe I pulled it out a couple of times last year to work on because I did get Pattern Keeper, which is an app to help you keep track of your stitches. I was describing it to my husband as like paint by number. It highlights the stitches that you need to stitch in a certain color. And then as you fill them in on your fabric, you can paint them by clicking on them on the app. So it really was a game changer with the stitching on full coverage. So decided, let's see if I enjoyed stitching on this year and try for the 22,000. So here is where I am. I think I'll also throw a picture in of where I was on January 1st of this year. Just a few, some days I got a couple of hundred stitches because I enjoyed stitching and I kept working on it. Other days I didn't get much, but really have shown a lot of progress. So, and I'm enjoying it. If I'm not enjoying it, I won't do it, but that's pretty cool. This project is huge though. I have the chart that is with large format pages. So there's more pages than a regular Heaven and Earth chart. With Pattern Keeper, it doesn't matter because you can enlarge and make it smaller. But let me show you my fabric. It's gonna take up a lot of this fabric. This will not be a finish in 2022. I'm calling it now. But I am enjoying stitching on it and I am happy with the way it's coming out. I think it looks really cool. The final whip that I have been working on since you last saw me is Crowd Pleaser. And this one, I really hope I finish it in 2022. I've been saying it for the last 3 years. Permanent Copenhagen Sampler 1830. I am going to put in a picture of where it was this January 2021. I'm going to put a picture in of where it was before I put it in the hoop, which was yesterday. So I did a good amount last year. So if you look at this here, I've done here up. So I just have that left. I really would like to finish it this year. However, I got thoroughly burnt out on it last year and didn't want to look at it. So my goal is to work on it 3 to 5 days a month this year, and we'll see where it leads. I am stitching it with DMC 934. And I'm showing you this because I think it's funny. This is the original bobbin. I keep using the original bobbin. I started this project. WIP, by the way, means work in progress if you're new to cross stitch. I started this project about 15 years ago. I'm not exactly sure of the date. And right now it's in my hoop. And yesterday I did this here and the bottom part of this. And this is on a 32 count Belfast linen. I believe it is light mocha is the color. And it's stitched 2 strands of floss over 2 linen threads. So I enjoyed stitching on it yesterday. And, like I said, hopefully get done. I do think I can finish it, but I've been saying that for the last 2 years, so we'll see what happens. Come back and see me throughout the year and we'll see what progress I make on it. So I have a love of big projects, as you can see here. And if you followed me for, a couple of years, you would have seen that most of my projects are, larger rather than smaller. I decided it would be a good thing to start some smaller projects. So my January 1st start was a small. And this was lent to me by a dear stitching friend, Luann. It's called Without a Mouse. It's a Blackbird Designs that is out of print, and it's from the Rewards of Merit series. Started January 1st, and I am having so much fun with this. Here's where I am. And that's how big it's going to be. This is 36 count, Picture This Plus, vellum linen. And I am stitching this with silk. I am stitching this with Vicki Clayton hand-dyed fibers, primitive black. See it? So if you buy what's called her minis, they come single-stranded on the spool, which is so nice to stitch with. And let me tell you, that silk is like butter on this fabric. So really enjoying that. I think it's gonna be done sooner rather than later. And it will be a year where my new year, new start is actually finished in that year. So I have decided I do need more smalls. So one thing I have done is I have started kitting up some magazine pieces from mostly from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher, but also some older just cross stitch issues and just some smalls I have. Just kind of picking a few, getting the floss together and picking out some fabric and putting them together. So when I'm ready to stitch a small, I can pick it up. Because not everything needs to take a half yard of fabric. I keep telling myself that. So those are my whips. I am not going to go over anything I have purchased or been gifted since the last video because we would need a mini series. Not really, but there is a new cross stitch shop that has opened very close to me called Stitch New England, and I'll put a link to that in the description box as well. Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough has opened a cross stitch shop, and it's wonderful. And I enjoy shopping there. And I have also been to the World in Stitches, which is another shop in Massachusetts, which I've talked about before. And, you know, I've shopped there since you've seen me last. And let's just say that this needs to be a stitch from stash year. And I look forward to doing that. So, plans. My 2022 stitch plan, I thought about it. Everybody's been making plans, and I love listening to everybody's plans. I know a ton of people are doing Whip Go this year, which is like bingo for your projects. I've decided this year I'm going to stitch what I want when I want, within reason. Try to keep the starts under control so I can continue to work on my big projects that I have. But I don't want to do deadline stitching. I don't want to, I don't want to just pick randomly and stitch on something. So if I'm not feeling it, I don't want to stitch it. So this year for me is a stitch what you want when you want. And I know that Whip Go works so well for a lot of people, and I think I might do it some year, but this year isn't the year for me. This year is stitch, just stitch. So, and that's why I said, even though I've been trying to finish the Permanent of Copenhagen, my green blanket, for the last 2 or 3 years, if it doesn't get finished this year, it doesn't get finished this year. So be it. If I enjoy stitching on it, it'll get finished this year. If I need a break, I'll put it down and it'll get done when it gets done. So that's my stitch philosophy this year. I have a couple of projects I do plan on starting though. And I'm going to share them with you because this is really short so far. And we all like seeing new projects, right? So one thing I have decided when I was looking for projects to start and smalls is I have a lot of really old charts. And the reason I have a lot of really old charts is because I've been stitching for a really, really, really long time. So I was very happy that this was shared with me because it's a chart I didn't have and I wanted to stitch and you can't find it. And I have a lot of charts that I have friends who want to stitch that they can't find. So I want to start stitching some of my older stash so I can share it with my friends. One of them that I'm going to stitch this year with a friend, because she needs she wants some company stitching it, is Salem Remembered by the Primitive Hair. I've had this in my stash for a really long time. It's time to stitch it. So it calls for 3 silks. I doubt I'm going to use them. It's on Kristen's Whip Go board for this month. So she wants to stitch it, and I'm happy to join in with her because I've been wanting to stitch it forever. And it's really, I mean, it's long, but it's names. It shouldn't take that long. I think I'm going to stitch it on this. So it is a week's linen. It's the Zweigart base, which I've been dying to try. It's 46 count. I know, but it's letters, so hopefully it's not too bad. And I think I'm just gonna pick out some overdyed from my stash, 3 colors to look good in this. And this is blowing it out. I'm gonna hold it back so you can see more what it looks like. It's more like that color. So I figure on 46 count, it'll be a little smaller. That's the plan. As we know, plans are meant to be changed. This is something that has been in my stash forever too, that was passed on to me by a good friend. This is from Stacy Nash. It is Cherry Hollow Farm Sampler. For a long time, you could not get this. It was a special market kit. So one of my friends, when she finished stitching it, passed it to me. And it sat in my stash for way too long. Stacy is now selling a PDF of this on her Etsy store, so other people can stitch it. And I think it's great when everybody can stitch these designs that have been difficult to get. So my friend Abby Bella Stitch, and my friend Angela, who is Food and Yarn, I believe, on Instagram, are like, let's sell it. Let's sell it. So I've had this kitted forever. This picture, I have most of the called for. I think I'm missing like 2. So I'll find a substitution. And I was thinking of using this fabric. What do you think? I think it'll be good because I think that everything will show up. I'll let you know. This is a 40 count silk weaver in Burmese beige. And actually this was originally with Salem Remembered, but when I pulled out the chart, I was thinking, I think I really like this with Cherry Hollow. One little thing, one little tip, and once again, this is something I realized a couple of years ago, and I could have been the last person in the world to know it, but if it wasn't, I'm going to share it with other people. When you are kitting up a project with floss, don't just put the whole skein against the fabric, because you're not stitching with the whole skein. So I'll stitch this with 1 strand of floss. So what I do is I pull out 1 strand of floss and see how that looks on the fabric. Because sometimes, especially if the color is close, let's find a close one here. Let's look at the beige. If the color is close in the skein, it's very saturated. But then when you pull out 1 or 2 strands of floss, it's not. And you can't see it on the fabric. So, and that's especially true if a model is stitched with two strands and you stitch it with 1, the same floss can look completely different on 2 different fabrics. So I think this fabric will be okay because I pulled out the colors that were close and put them on the fabric, and it looks pretty good. All right, one more. You know, I keep saying no big whips. Actually, I don't say that. I say I love them, but I need more smalls. This is a project that my friend Becky and we bought at Needleworkers Delight forever ago, 3 or 4 years ago. It is Ink Circles Castle Walls, and I love this. We actually had them custom dye a piece of fabric for us there, So I'm gonna hold it back. It's gorgeous. So that blue gray. And I pulled 2 DMC colors. I think I still like them. I pulled 413 and 930. Get my face out so it focuses. So Becky and I plan on starting that together. Becky will finish long before I do because Becky is a speedy stitcher. So, isn't that pretty? All right, so castle walls. Next time we see each other, we plan on starting it. This is 235 by 235. So, it's big. I was having this discussion with another stitcher. I think it was with Kristen, who I'm going to do Sail and Remembered with, saying that there's kind of like this online formula in some of the Facebook groups about what's a small, what's a medium, what's a large, and what's a big project. And mine are kind of skewed because I have so many big projects. I feel that anything under like 200 by 200, it's a small. I need to stitch more smalls. Feel free to keep repeating that to me. So that is where we are. So last year, I only filmed 5 videos. I went back and looked, and I thought it was more than that. I knew it wasn't a lot. Last year was a really crazy year between just life and things going on in our house and family. I'm looking forward to 2022. I'm hoping it's less crazy. I do enjoy filming videos, and I hope I am able to film more. I kind of wanted to do both of these today, the bookend and the start. So now I can, hopefully 2 weeks, 3 weeks tends to be the sweet spot for me, to be able to come back, visit with you for 20 to 30 minutes and share with you what I have been working on. Thank you so much for all your continued support. Please feel free to follow me on Instagram at GablesStitcher. I am trying to post more of my stitching on there. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, happy new year, and looking forward to a good year of stitching and stitching together. Thanks, everybody. Bye.